Welcome back to Global News, your go-to source for the biggest updates from the USA and across the globe. Today, April 6th, Monday, we are counting down the most impactful news stories you need to know right now. Before we jump in, make sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you never miss a world update. Let's get started with number 10. Today, first news. European Council President Antonio Costa has called for an urgent diplomatic resolution to the conflict in West Asia, emphasizing that a negotiated solution is the only path to addressing its root causes. Marking 5 weeks of war, Costa condemned the targeting of civilian infrastructure, particularly energy facilities, as illegal and unacceptable, asserting this standard applies globally. He further urged Iran to halt attacks against regional neighbors and restore freedom of navigation through the Strait of Hormuz, a vital global energy artery. Following recent discussions with Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, Costa underscored that the European Union opposes the current aggression against Iran. However, he warned that further military escalation would only deepen the humanitarian crisis for the Iranian population. Next news. Iranian Foreign Minister Sayed Abbas Araghchi has accused U.S. and Israeli forces of bombing a major university, which he dubbed the MIT of Iran, as the military conflict enters its 38th day. Sharing images on social media of debris-strewn classrooms and a damaged building, Araghchi condemned the strike as part of a broader pattern of attacks on educational institutions. He declared that despite the destruction, Iranian resolve to pursue knowledge remains unshaken. This alleged strike follows earlier incidents, including a February 28th attack on an elementary school in Manab that killed 175 people, primarily children. While initial investigations suggested the school was struck due to U.S. targeting errors near military facilities, conflicting narratives persist, with President Donald Trump previously attributing such damage to inaccurate Iranian munitions. Next news. Artemis II crew enters lunar sphere, set to break deep space records. NASA's Artemis II mission reached a historic milestone on Monday, April 6th, as the Orion spacecraft entered the moon's sphere of influence. The crew, Commander Reed Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, and mission specialists Christina Koch and Jeremy Hansen, is now transitioning from Earth's gravitational pull to the moon's, marking humanity's first return to deep space in over 50 years. The mission is poised to shatter the distance record for human spaceflight, previously held by Apollo 13, traveling approximately 4,100 miles further than the 1970 mission. Using a free return trajectory, Orion will loop around the lunar far side, providing the astronauts with a direct view of the Orientale Basin and thousands of craters that remain hidden from Earth. As the crew captures high-resolution imagery of the lunar surface and past Apollo landing sites, the mission serves as a critical final test before Artemis III attempts a crewed landing at the lunar South Pole. The spacecraft is expected to complete its flyby and return to Earth within 4 days. Next news. Indian LPG carriers clear Hormuz amid regional crisis. 16 vessels stranded. New Delhi. India's energy security received a vital boost Monday as 2 Indian-flagged LPG carriers, Green Sanvi and Green Asha, successfully navigated the volatile Strait of Hormuz. The vessels, carrying a combined 62,150 tons of fuel, are expected to reach Indian ports by April 9th. Despite this breakthrough, 16 Indian-flagged ships and over 400 seafarers remain stranded in the Persian Gulf as the conflict enters its 38th day. The Ministry of Petroleum has capped commercial LPG at 70% of pre-crisis levels to prioritize households, though officials maintain that domestic stocks are currently adequate. The government continues to monitor the MIT of Iran strike allegations, as regional tensions complicate vital maritime corridors. Next news. Casualties mount in Odessa as Ukraine targets Russian oil infrastructure. Odessa. A Russian drone strike on a residential apartment block in Odessa killed 2 women and a 2-year-old child overnight, marking the latest escalation in a week of intense bombardment. President Volodymyr Zelensky reported that 11 others were hospitalized, including a pregnant woman, as Russia unleashed over 2,800 drones and 1,350 glide bombs across Ukraine within 7 days. Simultaneously, Kyiv launched long-range drone strikes hitting Russia's Novorossiysk oil terminal, a critical Black Sea export hub. The attack ignited 4 petroleum tanks and damaged pipelines, highlighting Ukraine's strategy to cripple Moscow's energy revenues. While the Kremlin claimed to intercept 50 drones, officials confirmed 8 injuries in the Krasnodar region. Zelensky continues to urge allies for enhanced air defenses, warning that Middle East tensions are depleting global missile stockpiles. Next news. Regional tension peaks as Iran rejects ceasefire deadline. Tehran. Tensions have surged to a breaking point as Iran officially rejected a U.S.-backed proposal for a temporary ceasefire, labeling the demand to reopen the Strait of Hormuz by President Donald Trump's Monday deadline as unacceptable pressure. The rejection follows a heavy wave of Israeli strikes on Tehran that reportedly killed 25 people, prompting Iranian military leadership to threaten devastating retaliation if further civilian targets are struck. Meanwhile, the global community remains transfixed by the Artemis II mission. As the conflict intensifies below, the four-member crew is currently navigating the moon's sphere of influence, preparing for a historic lunar flyby. With diplomatic efforts stalling and the threat of escalated military action looming, the world watches both the skies and the sea in anticipation. Next news. Baloch armed groups claim responsibility for twin attacks in Nasirabad and Kachi. Quetta. Two pro-independence armed groups have claimed responsibility for separate attacks in Balochistan, marking a significant escalation in regional instability. The Baloch Republican Guards, BRG, reported destroying machinery in the Nasirabad district's Deir Murad Jamali region, alleging the equipment was tied to military-backed commercial operations. Separately, the United Baloch Army, UBA, claimed a lethal assault on April 4th in the Sani area of Kachi district. UBA spokesperson, Mazar Balak, stated that fighters killed two individuals allegedly linked to state-supported intelligence networks and seized their weapons. Both groups issued warnings to locals against cooperating with government institutions. The violence occurs amid long-standing human rights concerns in the province, where enforced disappearances and a lack of official accountability continue to erode community trust and fuel persistent civil unrest. Next news. Seoul. In a rare diplomatic opening, North Korea has praised South Korean President Lee Jae-myung as wise for expressing regret over recent unauthorized drone incursions. President Lee, addressing a cabinet meeting, stated that an investigation confirmed a National Intelligence Service employee and a military official conducted the flights, violating government policy. Pyongyang state media, echoing the sentiments of leader Kim Jong-un, characterized the apology as a fortunate and frank gesture. This reconciliation marks a significant shift, as the two nations have recently traded accusations of severe provocation. While the Koreas remain technically at war, President Lee's overture to reduce military tensions has provided a rare moment of stability amid broader regional volatility, contrasting with recent years of increasingly hostile rhetoric. Next news. Xi Jinping calls for energy self-reliance amid Middle East conflict. Beijing. President Xi Jinping has directed the accelerated development of a new energy system, citing the need to fortify China's energy security as the conflict in the Middle East continues to roil global markets. While Xi did not explicitly mention the ongoing regional war, his directive emphasizes a strategic pivot toward domestic resilience. Xi championed a dual-track approach, maintaining coal-fired power as a supporting role and reliability backbone, while aggressively expanding wind, solar, and nuclear infrastructure. China, currently the world's largest carbon emitter, is balancing its heavy reliance on coal with massive investments in renewables, including a new high-altitude solar plant in Tibet. Analysts note that China is relatively well-positioned to weather oil price shocks, with imports via the Strait of Hormuz comprising only 5% of its total energy consumption. Next news. Brazil's chief advisor warns of global order collapse, risk of world war. Brasilia. Celso Amorim, the chief advisor to the Brazilian presidency, issued a harrowing assessment of global geopolitics Monday, warning that the world is facing the worst possible scenario with a tangible risk of a third world war. Speaking with Brazil 247, Amorim declared that the international order has effectively ceased to exist, pointing to the marginalization of the G20 and the weakening of the WTO. He expressed specific alarm over the intersection of the Ukraine war and the escalating conflict between the US, Israel, and Iran, noting that the presence of nuclear-capable bombers near Iranian airspace pushes the crisis toward a catastrophic threshold. Amorim criticized Western expectations of an Iranian regime collapse, asserting that diplomacy has been undermined by military strikes during active negotiations. Without a resolution to the Palestinian issue and a return to multilateral trust, he warned, the world remains on a path toward, quote, catastrophic global confrontation.